The evening was heavy with mist, the streetlights glowing like faint candles against the cold blue air. She walked barefoot down the slick pavement, her black dress clinging to her frame as the winter wind brushed against her skin. Every step was a whisper of pain, but she didn't stop. It wasn't the cold that hurt her, it was the memories she carried. Then, out of the shadows, he appeared. Jacob, the man she had once loved more than her own breath. His eyes widened when he saw her, standing fragile and alone in the freezing dusk. Without hesitation, he shrugged off his coat and pulled the scarf from his shoulders, crouching down in front of her as though to anchor her to the ground. Emma, his voice trembled, half a question, half a plea. She froze. His face was the same, though sharpened by years of sorrow. He reached out, trying to wrap her feet in the warm fabric, his hands gentle but desperate. She looked down at him, tears brimming in her eyes. "Why are you here?" she whispered, her voice breaking like glass. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he secured the scarf around her feet and looked up at her. "Because you're still in my heart." After all this time, Emma's lips parted, but no words came. The night stretched between them, full of silence and the weight of years. 5 years ago, their love had been fire, bright, consuming, unstoppable. They met in the halls of a hospital, Emma a nursing student, Jacob a young surgeon in training. Their days were long, their shifts endless, but in each other's company they had found a universe. They dreamed of saving lives together, building a future hand in hand. But dreams have a way of collapsing when reality strikes. Jacob's younger brother had been brought into the emergency ward one stormy night. Emma was on duty. She had fought harder than she had ever fought before, her hands trembling but steady, her heart screaming with fear. And yet, nothing she did was enough. The boy slipped away under her care. Jacob had burst into the ward too late. He saw only his brother's lifeless body and Emma's tear-soaked face. Grief twisted his heart into rage. "You followed the rules, Emma. You cared about protocols more than his life," he had shouted. Those words shattered her. She carried them with her every single day since. And in that moment, she walked away from Jacob, believing she was unworthy of love, unworthy of forgiveness. Now, years later, fate had pulled them into the same street on the same frozen evening. "I never stopped blaming myself," Emma admitted softly, her breath fogging the air. Jacob shook his head. "I blamed you because it was easier than facing the truth. I thought hating you would make the pain less. But Emma, it never did." Her tears spilled, glittering in the streetlights. She wanted to fall into his arms, but there was something she had never told him, something darker than guilt. "Jacob," she whispered, her voice barely audible, "your brother's death wasn't just an accident. It wasn't my fault. There were people behind it. The hospital, they were covering up corruption. Power outages, broken machines, it was deliberate." He was silenced. Jacob's eyes widened, shock slicing through him. "What are you saying?" Emma's hands trembled as she clutched the scarf around her. "I found out afterward. They threatened me. They told me if I ever spoke a word, I'd pay the price. So I stayed quiet, even when it cost me you." Jacob's face hardened, rage flickering in his eyes. "All these years, you carried this alone." She nodded, her whole body shaking. "Because I was afraid. They were watching me. They're still watching me." The sound of an engine broke the silence. A black car rolled slowly down the street, its headlights cutting through the mist. Emma froze, her blood running cold. "They're here," she breathed, her face pale with terror. Jacob instinctively pulled her close, shielding her with his body. "Not anymore. Not while I'm here. We'll fight this together. I won't let them take you." The car stopped a few feet away. The windows were tinted, faceless figures inside. For a moment, time seemed to stop, the world holding its breath. Emma clutched Jacob's hand, squeezing it so tight her knuckles turned white. "Promise me, Jacob, if anything happens, you'll tell the truth. Don't let my silence be for nothing." He turned to her, his voice steady despite the fear in his chest. "Nothing is going to happen. I'm not losing you again. But fate has a cruel sense of timing." The sharp crack of gunfire shattered the night. Emma gasped, her body jolting as the bullet found her. Jacob caught her in his arms, lowering her gently onto the wet pavement, his heart pounding out of his chest. "No, stay with me, Emma, please," he begged, pressing his hands against the wound, desperate to stop the bleeding. His tears fell freely, mixing with the cold rain on her face. Her lips trembled as she struggled to breathe. I never left you, Jacob. Not in my heart. I loved you, every day. Don't say goodbye." Don't you dare say goodbye, he cried, his voice breaking. We still have a future. Just hold on. Her hand brushed against his cheek, weak but tender. Her eyes locked onto his, full of love and sorrow. And then, as the streetlights flickered above them, the last of her strength slipped away. Jacob's world collapsed in that single moment. He held her lifeless body against his chest, rocking back and forth as if sheer will could bring her back. The black car sped away into the night, leaving only silence and grief in its wake. The mist thickened, wrapping the world in mourning. Jacob pressed his forehead to hers, whispering through his sobs. I'll tell them the truth, Emma. I'll make them pay, I promise. The street was quiet again, except for the sound of a man's broken heart echoing through the cold air. And as the first snowflakes began to fall, it felt as though even the sky itself was weeping for the love that could never be.